The Galactic Senate ruled against Earth. The vote was their last mistake. In a stunning display of hidden power, Earth's fleet materializes behind the Senate Enforcement Squadron. Captain Bennett's Defiance leads a precision strike, disabling 7 ships without casualties. Ambassador Miller is extracted in 38 minutes flat. With a single shot at the Senate's defense platform, humanity demonstrates both their strength and mercy. The crystalline spires of Proxima Centauri 4 pierce the pink-hued sky, their translucent surfaces refracting the alien sun's light into 1,000 brilliant spectrums. The Galactic Senate building dominated the Capitol's skyline, a massive amphitheater of concentric rings, rising like a mountain of light. Within its chamber, the representatives of 900 worlds sat in ascending tiers of importance, age, and prestige. At the center of it all stood Ambassador John Miller, Earth's voice in the Galactic Senate. His face betrayed nothing, a practiced diplomatic mask perfected over decades of service. To the observing senators, he appeared stoic, perhaps resigned to his planet's fate. None could see his pounding heart or the slight tremor in his left hand, hidden behind his back. "The evidence is irrefutable," boomed the voice of Archduke Vex, the draconian representative. His scaled form towered over the speaking platform, obsidian eyes glittering with triumph. "Earth has violated the Non-Proliferation Treaty by developing quantum displacement weapons capable of destabilizing entire star systems." Miller's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. The evidence was fabricated, masterfully so, but fabricated nonetheless. The Draconians had spent years planting false research facilities, counterfeit communications, and doctored testing footage. Earth's actual military capabilities remained safely hidden, as they had been since humanity first encountered the galactic community. Light years away, in a reinforced chamber beneath the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Lisa Howard watched the Senate proceedings via quantum transmission. Beside her, Captain Steve Cooper monitored the global alert status as military installations worldwide quietly shifted to Readiness Level 1. "They've already decided," Howard whispered, more to herself than to Cooper. In the Oval Office, President Richard Mason sat alone, watching the same feed, the weight of 5 billion lives pressed down on his shoulders. The Senate had made their decision long before today's session. Now, humanity would face the consequences. Back in the Senate chamber, the Grand Speaker rose, a willowy Aldebaranian whose species had held the position for 7 centuries. "We shall now vote on Resolution 147B, the complete isolation of Earth and all human colonies for a period of 50 standard years, to prevent further treaty violations." Miller's expression remained carefully neutral as the votes illuminated the chamber's displays. 94-0 against Earth, with 0 abstentions. "The resolution passes unanimously," the Grand Speaker intoned. "A barrier fleet will be deployed within 24 hours. All trade and travel will cease in 3 standard days. This Senate stands adjourned." As the chamber began to empty, Miller caught the triumphant smirk of Archduke Vex. He allowed himself a single moment of raw emotion, not fear or anger, but pity. Then, under the pretense of adjusting his cufflink, he activated the quantum transmitter hidden within. 3 simple words: "Lazarus is active." "On Earth." Secretary Howard's screen flashed with the message. She turned to Captain Cooper, her voice steady. "Protocol Lazarus is engaged. Alert all commanders." "Yes, ma'am," Cooper replied, fingers flying across his terminal. "Lunar Command responding. Mars Base responding. Jupiter Fleet acknowledging." Howard took a deep breath. "Inform the President that we are go for revelation." Humanity had reached its moment of decision. Submit permanently to exile and eventual irrelevance, or reveal what they had hidden for a century. Earth was far more advanced and far more powerful than the Senate had ever suspected. The wheels of Protocol Lazarus began turning. Beneath the surface of Earth's moon, Admiral Diane Russell reviewed the final preparations. 50 Helios drive warships, each capable of precision jumps without traditional hyperspace lanes, powered up in massive underground hangars. Crews boarded with practiced efficiency, their movements reflecting years of secret drills. "Fleet status?" Russell demanded, her eyes scanning the holographic display. "All vessels report ready, Admiral," her executive officer replied. "Defiance and the Vanguard can launch within 30 minutes. Russell nodded. "Maintain countdown. We move on schedule." In the Galactic Senate archives, undercover clerk Ben White moved with practiced nonchalance. A human courier assigned to the records division, he had spent 3 years building a reputation for unremarkable efficiency. Today, his true mission activated. With careful movements, he accessed the secured terminals containing the Senate defense grid schematics and transmitted them through a quantum-encrypted channel. Meanwhile, diplomat Susan Wright boarded her personal shuttle at the Senate diplomatic port. As Earth's secondary representative, she had been largely ignored during the hearings, exactly as planned. Her manifest showed a return journey to Earth, but her actual destination was the neutral trading hub of Epsilon Eridani. In her secure briefcase, irrefutable proof of draconian falsification, gathered over months of painstaking counterintelligence. On the flagship Defiance, Captain Olivia Bennett studied the mission parameters one final time. Her vessel, a sleek, obsidian arrowhead nearly a kilometer in length, represented the pinnacle of Earth's true technological achievement. "Jump coordinates locked," her navigation officer reported. "Extraction team ready." Bennett nodded. "Our window is 45 minutes from Senate adjournment to extract Ambassador Miller before the barrier fleet arrives. Failure is not an option." Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden strength awakened. Beneath the swirling storms of Jupiter, a second fleet of 30 vessels prepared to secure the outer system. Mars bases activated planetary shield systems that had remained dormant since their installation. Across Earth, civilian populations remained unaware as military installations worldwide shifted to full combat readiness. President Mason stood before the global broadcast system in the White House Situation Room. In moments, his face would appear on screens across Earth and, more importantly, across the Senate worlds. "It's time to show them who we really are," he said quietly. Then, squaring his shoulders, "Begin transmission." The Senate's emergency session was in disarray. Reports flooded in of unprecedented activity in the Sol system, energy signatures that contradicted centuries of intelligence assessments. Archduke Vex was demanding explanations from his advisors when every screen in the chamber activated simultaneously. President Mason's face appeared calm and resolute. "To the peoples and representatives of the Galactic Senate, I speak to you directly for the first time. For 100 years, humanity has hidden its true nature and capabilities out of caution and respect. Today, that concealment ends." Gasps echoed through the chamber as the broadcast showed massive vessels rising from lunar craters, emerging from Martian hangars, and breaking through Jupiter's cloud layers. The unanimous vote to isolate Earth was based on fabricated evidence. Mason continued, "We have never developed the weapons we stand accused of creating. However, we have developed technologies far beyond what we have shared with the galactic community." The images shifted to show the Defiance and its battle group, their sleek, advanced designs, unlike anything in the Senate registry. "We chose restraint, not out of weakness, but out of respect for a community we hope to join as equals." That hope was misplaced. The Senate has demonstrated it does not view humanity as worthy of fair treatment or basic justice. In the Senate Defense Command Center, alarms blared as sensors detected 10 Earth vessels, materializing directly behind the enforcement fleet, gathering at the Proxima Centauri jump gate. The Senate commander, Zval, stared in disbelief at the tactical display. The human ships had appeared without using the jump gate, a technological impossibility according to all known physics. "Impossible," Zval whispered. "Scramble all vessels. Defensive formation. Before his orders could be implemented, 7 of his 13 ships reported complete power failures. The Earth vessels had fired some kind of gravitic lance beam, non-lethal, but utterly effective. His flagship, the Righteous Judgment, drifted powerless, its emergency systems the only functioning technology. A small shuttle detached from the Earth flagship and accelerated toward the Senate Capitol. On the surface, Ambassador Miller calmly walked through the diplomatic quarter, seemingly unaware of the chaos unfolding in orbit. The emergency klaxons had begun to sound, but he maintained his unhurried pace. As he rounded a corner into a small, deserted plaza, a shuttle appeared overhead, hovering silently. The extraction team deployed in seconds, 4 figures in matte black combat suits. They surrounded Miller, just as Senate security forces appeared at the plaza entrance. One of the team fired a canister that burst into a cloud of stun gas, creating a barrier between them and the approaching guards. "Ambassador," the team leader said through his helmet, "your right is here." Miller smiled for the first time in months. "Right on schedule." The extraction took precisely 38 minutes from Senate adjournment to Miller's secure retrieval aboard the Defiance. Captain Bennett personally greeted him on the bridge. "Welcome aboard, Ambassador. I trust the extraction went smoothly." "Perfectly executed, Captain," Miller replied, "though I believe our demonstration is not quite complete." Bennett nodded and turned to her weapons officer. "Target the Senate's defensive platform. Minimum power. Precision strike." The officer's fingers danced across the control panel. "Target locked." "Fire." A single pulse of brilliant blue energy lanced from the Defiance, striking the unmanned defensive satellite. The structure didn't explode. It simply ceased functioning, its power core safely neutralized. "Message sent," Bennett said. "Prepare for jump." Commander Zaval watched helplessly as the Earth vessels vanished in flashes of blue light, not using the jump gate, but simply disappearing from normal space. His crew stared at the empty sensor readings, their mandibles clicking in disbelief. "They could have destroyed us all," his first officer whispered. Zaval had no response. The humans had shown power beyond anything in the Senate arsenal, and remarkable restraint in using it. Within 6 hours, Earth forces had seized control of all 5 major hyperspace junctions connecting the core Senate worlds. The operation was executed with surgical precision. No casualties, no destroyed vessels, but complete strategic domination. The Senate's vaunted defense fleet found itself neutralized and isolated, unable to respond to the swift, coordinated strikes. On Epsilon Eridani, Diplomat Wright presented her evidence to representatives from 27 neutral systems. The detailed documentation showed years of draconian manipulation, forged evidence, and the systematic campaign to isolate Earth from the galactic community. "Earth seeks neither domination nor revenge," she told the assembled diplomats. "We seek a more just order, one where age and tradition do not override truth and fairness." As Wright spoke, similar presentations occurred on Titan, in the Outer Rim Alliance, and in dozens of independent systems. The response was immediate: declarations of support for Earth's position and condemnation of the Senate's rush to judgment. In an emergency session on Proxima Centauri 4, the Senate devolved into chaos. Archduke Vex faced a barrage of accusations as former allies distanced themselves from the Draconian Empire. The carefully constructed hierarchy of the chamber, maintained for millennia, crumbled under the weight of fear and recrimination. "You assured us the humans were primitive," shouted the Rigelian ambassador. "You claimed their military was generations behind our standard." Vex's scales flushed dark with rage. "They deceived us all. They hid their true nature." "As you hid your evidence tampering," countered the Tau Ceti representative. "We stand at the precipice of war because of draconian arrogance." As the Senate tore itself apart from within, Earth diplomats and representatives from allied worlds gathered on the neutral ground of Europa. There, They drafted the founding charter for the Galactic Alliance of Free Worlds, a new interstellar body based on principles of equality, evidence-based justice, and mutual defense. Ambassador Miller, now appointed Chancellor of the Transition Council, reviewed the final document with representatives from 170 worlds. The Senate's age-based hierarchy served only to entrench power, he told the Assembly. In the Alliance, each world has equal standing, regardless of how long they have sailed the stars. The charter passed with unanimous approval. Across the galaxy, systems rushed to join the nascent alliance as the old Senate's authority collapsed under the weight of its own corruption. On Proxima Centauri 4, Archduke Vex faced public disgrace. The evidence of his manipulation had been broadcast across all networks, and even his own government had disavowed his actions. As he was escorted from the Senate chamber for the final time, he passed a group of human security officers, their weapons holstered, their posture non-threatening. "You could have destroyed us," Vex hissed as he passed Miller in the corridor. "Why didn't you?" Miller regarded him calmly. "Because we are not what you claimed we were." 1 month after the Senate vote, 412 worlds convened in a rebuilt chamber on Proxima Centauri 4. The tiered amphitheater had been replaced with a true circle, each representative seated at the same level, with the speaking platform at the center accessible to all. President Mason, attending in person for the first time, addressed the inaugural session of the Alliance. "Today, we dissolve the structures of the old Senate and embrace a new era of cooperation," he proclaimed. "The Alliance recognizes that wisdom comes not only from age, but from diversity of experience and perspective." The human delegation wore simple blue uniforms, no ranks, no decorations, no symbols of hierarchy or dominance. It was a conscious choice, a visual representation of the egalitarian principles at the heart of the new order. As the assembled representatives rose in ovation, Miller allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The path forward would not be easy. Centuries of ingrained traditions and prejudices would not disappear overnight, but the foundation had been laid for something better. Later that evening, in a private briefing at the temporary Earth Embassy, Miller received disturbing news from home. Deep space telescopes had detected unusual activity at the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy, evidence of an extragalactic incursion unlike anything seen before. "The analysis is preliminary," Admiral Russell explained via secure transmission. "But all indications suggest an organized force moving systematically through the outer systems of Andromeda. Their technology signatures are completely unknown." President Mason studied the data with a grim expression. "Timeline? At current speeds, 10 years before they reach our galaxy's edge," Russell replied. "Perhaps 15 before they threaten Alliance space." "Then we have time to prepare," Miller said, "and we no longer stand alone." The next morning, Miller proposed the creation of a joint defense initiative to the Alliance Council. Without revealing the full threat, which remained unconfirmed, he emphasized the need for combined training, technology sharing, and unified command structures. "Our strength lies not in isolation but in cooperation," he told the Assembly. "The challenges of the future will require us to stand together." The proposal passed with overwhelming support. Within weeks, the first joint training exercises began. Aboard the Starship Unity, a new vessel constructed with combined technologies from 12 Alliance worlds, human and alien crews trained side by side. Captain Bennett, now appointed to command this first truly integrated vessel, watched with pride as former adversaries worked in seamless coordination. 4 months ago, they wanted to banish us from the galaxy, her executive officer commented. "Now they follow your orders without hesitation." Bennett nodded. "Fear and misunderstanding nearly destroyed us all. Transparency and shared purpose will save us." As the Unity conducted maneuvers near the galactic rim, Bennett couldn't help but gaze toward the distant smudge of light that was Andromeda. Whatever came from that direction, humanity would not face it alone. The Senate's vote against Earth had indeed been their last mistake, but from that mistake had emerged a stronger, more unified galaxy. The true test still lay ahead, but for the first time in human history, Bennett felt genuine optimism about the future, not just for Earth, but for all sentient beings who would now face the coming storm together. In the central command center of the Unity, representatives from 20 species worked in harmony, their varied physiologies and perspectives creating a problem-solving capacity beyond anything a single species could achieve. This was the true strength of the Alliance, not the advanced weapons or the powerful ships, but the combined wisdom of 1,000 evolutionary paths. On Earth, in the transformed chambers of what had once been the Pentagon's Stellar Command, Secretary Howard reviewed the latest intelligence from the Andromeda observation posts. The unidentified forces continued their methodical advance, consuming resources from each system they encountered before moving to the next. "They're not just conquering," she told President Mason during their weekly briefing. "They're harvesting." Mason nodded grimly. "The Alliance Council needs to know. Schedule a closed session for next week." "Are we ready to reveal everything?" Howard asked. "We have to be," Mason replied. "The age of secrets is over." Meanwhile, on the neutral world of Tahiti, a unique conference took place. Scientists from across the Alliance gathered to share technologies previously hidden by their respective governments. The atmosphere crackled with excitement as centuries of classified research came to light. Dr. Eliza Morgan, Earth's leading quantum physicist, presented the principles behind the Helios drive to an audience of stunned colleagues. "By creating a localized fold in spacetime," she explained, "we can effectively step outside normal physics for 3.7 microseconds, just long enough to reposition a vessel without traversing the intervening space." A Rigelian scientist raised an appendage in question. "This violates conservation of energy." Morgan smiled. "Only from the perspective of classical physics. If you consider the seven-dimensional model," as she displayed the complete equations, audible gasps echoed through the chamber. 3 Aldebaranian mathematicians began frantically comparing notes, while a group of Tau Ceti engineers immediately started sketching modifications to their existing drive systems. This scene repeated across dozens of specialized conferences as the Alliance worlds embraced total technological transparency. Advances that would have taken centuries of independent research occurred in months of collaboration. Back on Proxima Centauri 4, the Alliance Council had transformed the governance of interstellar affairs. The ponderous bureaucracy of the Senate, which had often taken decades to address emerging threats, had been replaced with a responsive, adaptive structure. Chancellor Miller, serving his 6-month rotation as head of the council, introduced the Andromeda Report to the Executive Committee. "The threat is real," he concluded, after presenting the evidence. "And it is unlike anything our civilizations have encountered before." Instead of panic or denial, the committee responded with immediate action. Within hours, resources were being directed toward deep space monitoring, defensive preparations, and accelerated research into countermeasures. For Miller, this response confirmed the wisdom of Earth's new approach. Under the old Senate, such a threat would have been buried in committee discussions and political maneuvering until it was too late to act effectively. On the frontier world of New Horizon, a joint military exercise demonstrated the rapidly evolving capabilities of the Alliance forces. Ships from 30 worlds performed complex maneuvers that would have been impossible just months earlier. Their crews, working in seamless coordination, despite their diverse physiologies and cultural backgrounds. Admiral Russell observed from the command ship, satisfaction evident in her expression. "Progress report, Captain." Captain Thomas Chen, commander of the exercise's opposing force, appeared on the view screen. "Integration exceeds projections by 34%. Admiral, the neural interface translators have eliminated the last of the communication barriers." Russell nodded. "And tactical performance?" The combined fleet successfully repelled an attack force twice their size, Chen reported. The Draconian contingent performed especially well. This last point brought a smile to Russell's face. The reformed Draconian government, having purged the militarist faction, led by the disgraced Archduke Vex, had become one of the most committed alliance members, perhaps driven by a desire to atone for their role in the Earth crisis. As the exercise concluded, Russell received a priority transmission from Secretary Howard. The message was brief, but significant. Andromeda contact imminent. Return to Sol immediately. The observation post at the edge of Alliance space was little more than an automated monitoring station, designed to provide early warning rather than defense. When the first vessels from Andromeda arrived, the station's sensors captured every detail before transmitting a final data burst as the unknown ships reduced it to scattered atoms. On Earth, the Alliance Emergency Council convened via holographic projection. Representatives from 100 key worlds appeared in the secure chamber beneath Washington, D.C., their expressions grim as they reviewed the sensor data. "They destroyed the post without attempt at communication," noted the Tau Ceti ambassador. "Their technology is concerning," added the Rigelian military advisor. "Energy signatures suggest weapons capacities beyond our current capabilities." President Mason studied the projected course of the intruders. "They'll reach the outer rim colonies within 2 months at their current velocity." "We're not ready," Howard stated flatly. "The unified defense system needs at least 6 more months to reach full deployment." A moment of heavy silence fell over the assembly. Then, a voice spoke from an unexpected source. "Perhaps we don't need to be fully ready," said Ambassador Catal of the Draconian Empire. "We only need to show sufficient strength to give them pause." All eyes turned to the massive reptilian diplomat. "My people have survived for millennia by understanding when to fight and when to posture," Catal continued. "If these invaders seek easy conquest, we must demonstrate that we are not easy prey." Miller nodded slowly. "A show of force at the outer rim, not to win a war, but to force a reassessment." "Precisely," Catal confirmed. "We make them reconsider the cost of aggression." The Council quickly approved the strategy. Within days, a multinational battle group assembled at Jump Point Alpha 9, the nearest stable transit point to the projected invasion corridor. The force included vessels from 27 worlds, each contributing their strongest ships and most experienced crews. Captain Bennett found herself in command of the flagship Unity, coordinating the diverse fleet. The responsibility weighed heavily, but she took comfort in the quality of her allies. These weren't the arrogant Senate forces of old, but partners who had trained together, shared technologies, and developed mutual respect. "All vessels report ready, Captain," her executive officer announced. Bennett surveyed the tactical display, noting the precision with which the Allied ships maintained their positions. "Signal the fleet. Jump on my mark." As one, the Alliance Armada vanished from normal space, employing the Helios drive technology now shared across the coalition. They reappeared at the edge of the outer rim, directly in the path of the oncoming Andromedan vessels. The intruders, 15 ships of alien design, their hulls covered in what appeared to be shifting liquid metal, continued their advance without slowing. "No response to communications on any frequency," reported the communications officer. Bennett straightened in her command chair. "Deploy the sensor drones. I want detailed scans of their capabilities before they reach weapons range." The data from the drones painted a sobering picture. The Andromedan ships carried energy weapons of unprecedented power, along with defensive systems that would likely neutralize conventional attacks. "Recommendations?" Bennett asked her mixed-species bridge crew. Lieutenant Commander Vash, a Rigelian tactical officer, highlighted a pattern in the sensor readings. "Their shield harmonics show fluctuations when they maneuver. A synchronized attack during course correction might penetrate their defenses." "Their formation suggests a hierarchical command structure," added Ensign Talon, a Tau Ceti analyst. The central vessel likely coordinates the others. Bennett processed this information quickly. We target the lead ship during their next vector change. All vessels to synchronize weapons to these frequencies. She transmitted the data from Vash's analysis. We need to make this first exchange count. As the Andromedan fleet approached weapons range, they began a standard course adjustment, exactly as Talon had predicted. Bennett seized the opportunity. All ships, fire now! The combined firepower of the Alliance fleet lanced toward the lead Andromedan vessel. Their attacks perfectly synchronized to exploit the momentary weakness in the alien shields. For a breathless moment, it seemed the strategy had failed. Then, the enemy flagship's defenses collapsed, and its liquid metal hull ruptured under the concentrated barrage. The effect on the remaining Andromedan ships was immediate and unexpected. They broke formation, their movements suddenly erratic and uncoordinated. Several collided with each other in their apparent confusion. They're receiving conflicting commands, Talon observed. The central coordination is disrupted. Bennett pressed the advantage. All ships, target their engines and weapon systems. Disabling shots only. We want prisoners. The battle lasted less than 15 minutes. Without their coordinated defense, the Andromedan vessels proved vulnerable to precision strikes. One by one, they were rendered powerless, drifting in space with their primary systems offline. As boarding teams prepared to secure the disabled ships, Bennett received an urgent communication from Admiral Russell. Captain, hold your position. Do not board those vessels under any circumstances. New intelligence suggests these may not be the actual Andromedans, but automated advance units. Bennett immediately countermanded the boarding orders. All teams stand down. Maintain distance from captured vessels and enhance scanner sweeps. The caution proved wise. Detailed analysis revealed that the ships contained no organic life forms. They were sophisticated drones, controlled remotely from deeper within Andromedan space. A reconnaissance force, Miller observed during the emergency council session that followed. Testing our defenses and gathering intelligence. Which means the real invasion has not yet begun, President Mason added grimly. The captured Andromedan drones provided invaluable insights into the technology and tactics of the approaching threat. Alliance scientists worked feverishly to understand the liquid metal alloys, the quantum communication systems, and the unique power sources that drove the alien vessels. On Europa, a hastily assembled research team made a breakthrough in understanding the Andromedan command structure. It's a hive mind, Dr. Morgan explained to the Alliance Council. But not biological, technological. Each drone contains a quantum entangled particle that allows instantaneous communication across any distance. Can we disrupt it? Asked Secretary Howard. Morgan smiled. Better. We can hijack it. Within weeks, Alliance engineers had developed countermeasures based on the captured technology. Defense grids were reconfigured, weapons systems modified, and a vast early warning network deployed throughout Alliance space. Most importantly, the diverse species of the Alliance continued to integrate their unique perspectives and biological advantages. Rigelian multispectrum vision, Aldebaranian temporal sensitivity, human adaptability, and dozens of other evolutionary specializations combined to create defense systems no single species could have conceived. 6 months after the first encounter, long-range sensors detected the true Andromedan fleet, over 200 vessels, each many times larger than the reconnaissance drones. They moved with purpose toward the edge of the Milky Way, their trajectory suggesting a full-scale invasion. In the rebuilt Senate chamber on Proxima Centauri 4, now the Alliance Coordination Center, representatives from 900 worlds gathered to address the existential threat. The room no longer reflected hierarchical divisions. Instead, it fostered collaboration, with integrated technology, allowing instant sharing of ideas across species barriers. Chancellor Miller, serving his final day before rotation to another representative, addressed the Assembly. 1 year ago, this chamber witnessed a grave injustice. A vote based on fear and prejudice that would have isolated Earth from the galactic community. Today, we gather as equals to face a common threat. He gestured to the holographic display showing the approaching Andromedan armada. Had the old order persisted, we would now face this invasion as divided worlds, suspicious of one another, guarding our technologies and advantages. Instead, we stand united, stronger than the sum of our parts. The display shifted to show the combined Alliance defense fleet, over 500 vessels from dozens of worlds, incorporating technologies that had been classified secrets just months earlier. The vote against Earth was indeed the Senate's last mistake, Miller continued. But from that error arose something greater than any single civilization could achieve alone. As he spoke, the first elements of the Alliance fleet jumped to their defensive positions along the galactic rim. Among them, the flagship Unity led the vanguard, its crew representing 37 species working in perfect harmony. On the bridge, Captain Bennett watched the sensor readings as the Andromedan fleet approached. Whatever the outcome of the coming battle, the galaxy facing it was fundamentally transformed from the fragmented, hierarchical society of a year earlier. "All ships report ready, Captain," her executive officer announced. Bennett nodded, her expression resolute. "Signal Alliance Command. Operation Unity is commencing." As the message was relayed, Bennett couldn't help but reflect on the irony. The Senate's attempt to isolate Earth had instead created the only force capable of defending the galaxy against extinction. Their last mistake had become the salvation of all. "All vessels, prepare to engage," she ordered, as the first Andromedan ships appeared at the edge of sensor range. "We stand together." Across hundreds of Alliance ships, crews of formerly antagonistic species moved with coordinated purpose, ready to defend their shared future. The age of division was over. Whatever came next, they would face it as one. The battle for the galaxy had begun,